Okay, folks. Hello, Mike Caccioppoli here. I wanted to talk about a couple things. First, a breakdown from last night's primaries in Kentucky and Oregon. They were both closed, meaning that only Democrats could vote. And I believe Kentucky, it was a December or January cutoff date to change. Um, so independents could not vote at all. The results were right now, as of doing this video at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. Bernie's about a half point, about 0.5% behind in Kentucky, with 100% in, and the AP is not calling it, which is very interesting. That's kind of rare. But the AP is not calling it. There was talk about Bernie might want to do a recount his campaign. I know there were at least 30 counties that had voting issues, and the result, I think it was out of 425,000 votes, I believe she was 1,900 votes ahead. So that's basically a virtual tie. It's a virtual tie. Let's say he flipped and he was a half point ahead. They're both going to get, right now they both have 27 delegates each. Let me give you a little background on this is something I didn't even know, and I'm usually pretty up to date on these things. In 2008, against Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton won 66 to 30. That's 36 points. She dropped about 250,000 votes and almost 36 points from 2008. Now in West Virginia, she dropped 55 points and almost 300,000 votes from 2008 when she easily beat Obama. This should tell you something. And this is, once again, this is just with it's a virtual tie just with Democrats voting, which has been rare so far up until now in the election. And Bernie does so well. In Oregon, right now, Bernie's up by 96% in, and he's up by a solid 12 points, 56 to 44. Once again, another closed primary. Only Democrats could vote. No independents could vote. And Bernie won by a landslide. What this is telling us is that he's now pretty much taken the lead. As the last Reuters poll had him 6 points up amongst Democrats, he's now beginning to beat her and challenge her and beat her and take the lead amongst Democrats only, without any independents. We know independents make up at least almost half the country, 45 to 48%, and he beats her usually 70-30 amongst independents, almost 3 to 1. So this shows you who has the momentum. I mean, Hillary has just, the people in Kentucky and West Virginia and Indiana also, which flipped, said they're tired of her. They're tired of her shtick. They're on to her. She's losing support really by the day. By the day, she's losing support. So these are big numbers. Now, out of Oregon, I want to show you the biggest, bigger than Bernie tying in Kentucky, bigger than Bernie beating her by 12 points in Oregon. This is the most important number that no one will talk about. As of right now, Donald Trump is only 11,000 votes behind Hillary Clinton. 11, let that sink in. In deep, 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 deep blue Oregon. She's only ahead of him right now by 11,000 votes. Okay? Bernie's ahead of him by 80,000 votes. Think about this. 11,000 votes ahead in a deep blue state, and Trump was not even running. A lot of people didn't bother voting for him because he has it locked up. If that were contested still, if that were close, like the Clinton-Sanders race, Trump would have more votes than Hillary Clinton. This is very scary, that she can barely beat him in Oregon, if at all. Bernie's blowing him away, as he should. As anyone should blow away Trump everywhere, but especially in a deep blue state like Oregon. In a deep blue state like Oregon, Trump could possibly, remember, he hasn't even started on her yet, could possibly take it. Could possibly beat Clinton, can take Oregon. Remember, Oregon's not as liberal as California and Washington. But still deep blue, I don't remember the last time it hasn't gone blue. This should scare the shit out of everyone. And no one will talk about this. No one will talk about the fact that Donald Trump's only 11,000 votes behind Hillary Clinton in deep blue Oregon, and Trump had this locked up a month ago. Many people just didn't bother voting for him because they didn't have to. Still, he's right behind her in votes. This should be the story of the day. Of course it's not, but it should be the story of the day. Also talking about Kentucky, Grimey, the Secretary of State there, Grimey, she actively campaigned for Hillary. She's quoted as saying on video, most important thing is getting Hillary elected, Hillary winning. Now, You great Democrats, you great liberals, you great progressives. In a general election, when the Secretary of State is Republican and they actively campaign for the Republican against the Democrat, what do you guys say all the time? You scream, "This isn't fair! It's not fair! The Republican Secretary of State, she's actively campaigning for the Republican candidate. We can't get a fair election." But when Grimy actively campaigns for Hillary, crickets. Hillary supported those great liberal Democrat crickets. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. She'll be fair. More hypocrisy. More daily disgusting hypocrisy from the Hillary fake Democrats, dinos, progressives, liberals. They're all fake. They're all fucking fakes. Fakes, phonies, and frauds. Hypocrites. Total hypocrites on a daily basis. Also want to point this out. The DNC, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Harry Reid, Barbara Boxer, Roberta Lang, all screaming about how horrible Bernie supporters were. Roberta Lang supposedly getting phone calls. Of course, we don't know who's making these phone calls to her. We don't know we know that Hillary and David Brock have spent $1 million on social media for trolls to go on and troll people. So we don't know that most of these, if not all these calls, aren't trolls to make Sanders people look bad. We don't know who's making these calls, who's putting these calls. They could be doing it themselves from their office. We don't know who's making nasty calls to her. We don't know. What we do know is that there were 2 arrests made. There have been 2 arrests made in the last week, both Hillary supporters. One at the Democratic National Convention where they claimed Bernie supporters were throwing chairs, and now it's been refuted and shown. There are no chairs thrown. There's no videos of chairs being thrown. People that said one guy was attempting to pick up a chair, and the great Sanders supporter stopped him from doing it. That was it. 2 arrests made, both Hillary supporters. One at the convention, and Wendell Pierce, the actor, who allegedly punched a Bernie Sanders supporter. 2 arrests, both Hillary supporters. Where's the apology? Where's the apology from the media for blaming Sanders supporters? Where's the apology from the Hillary Clinton campaign for these bad actors on their part doing this stuff, getting arrested? But who cares about the facts? Who cares about the facts? It's much easier to bash Sanders. Oh, Sanders' fault. Hillary's minus 25 approval rating, FBI investigations, Clinton Foundation, corruption. It's all Bernie's fault. It's my fault, not her fault. The Queen is never at fault. You know the Queen can't be at fault for anything. The fact that approval tanks every time she runs for political office, that's not her fault. Not her. It doesn't happen to anybody else but her. But it's not her fault. Two arrests, both Hillary supporters, one a very popular actor, Wendell Pierce. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. I'm glad Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe called for Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign, because she should. This has been corrupt. This has been from day one, from over a year ago when Bernie first said he was going to run. So the stacks, everything's been against him. Everything's been against him. They've called in their favors the media. Now this is another thing. Bernie Sanders supporters booed. They booed because at the convention they decided that they didn't like what happened at that second round at the county level. That Sanders supporters flipped the state in his favor because Hillary's delegates didn't show up. I mean, those are the rules. If your delegates don't show up, you lose. That's the way delegates have to show up. There are 3 at caucuses. There are 3 levels: the voting, then there's the county, then there's the state. And if your voters don't show up to the whole thing, you lose. That's part of the deal. But because Harry Reid called in his favors on election day to all those casino workers, many won't even register to vote to go caucus. Those people never end up showing up because they're fake votes. They're not real. They just showed up on that day because their bosses told them they had to caucus. So at the county level, Bernie's real votes showed up, Hillary's fake votes didn't, and they flipped the state. Now, they didn't like that. So over the weekend, they decided, we're just going to change the rules right here on the fly and go back to the original vote, like the second level never happened. And which is, even doing that is illegal. So she took a vote on something that's illegal to do anyway. But even, let's say, okay, we did that. She took a vote She said all those against it say nay, and the Sanders supporters were nay, nay. Then she goes, all those in favor say yay. It was yay, yay. The yays have it, and she ran off the stage. And they booed. And then they booed Boxer. Nina Turner, who of course the media lied and said Sanders supporters booed, said they never booed me. They never booed me at all. They were upset because of this corruption going on, because of the way the caucus was held. You see, the media doesn't want the facts. They want that narrative. You know, Clinton News Network, MSNBC, Madam Secretary's National Broadcasting Company. They just want their narrative. Hillary's the anointed one. She's perfect. Bernie's getting in the way, and he should get out of the way. That's the narrative. That's everything had to fit that for the past year. That narrative right there. That through line. But see, these politicians are offended at being booed. They see booing as violence. They don't know what goes on. How they don't know what goes on in other countries and other democracies. Not third world countries, real democracies. When people get upset, when the politicians fuck over the people, what do people do? They do more than boo. But the politicians here are so offended by booing. Oh my goodness, the people want accountability from their politicians. They don't want to be fucked over and raped by their politicians. How dare they? Oh, how dare they? How dare they? They ain't seen nothing yet. The people are awake now. And what awake in this country looks nothing like awake in other countries in Europe and Eastern Europe when they get screwed up by the politicians in those countries are afraid of the people. Here the people are afraid of the politicians. That's the problem. Like Matt Damon said, and I know maybe he's a Hillary supporter, I don't care. What he said makes sense. He said we need more civil disobedience here. Our problem is we have too much civil obedience. And he's right. Too much civil obedience, obey in this country. Not enough civil disobedience. Where the politicians are afraid of the people and are held accountable by the people when they fuck the people over. And that's what's happening. And I'm telling you, they got 2 months. The DNC has 2 months. 2 months to do the right thing and get behind Bernie Sanders and keep the White House. 2 months. That's it. Bernie Sanders, and I know a lot of you Bernie Sanders supporters are very narrow-minded. You don't want to hear this. Bernie Sanders has known this from day one. He's brilliant. He's smart. He's been through many contests. His campaign managers, Weaver and Devine, have been through many contests. They know they knew the DNC wasn't going to play fair. They knew they weren't going to get a fair shake. But Bernie knew. You know, Bernie was here in California a couple of years ago asking people, I want to run for, I'm thinking of running for president. Should I run as an independent or a Democrat? I know a guy who he asked. So Bernie was already considering the idea of running as an independent, knowing that the party was going to screw him over. But what they found out through their research was, if they started running as an independent, it would be like Nader. No one would cover him. You know, he'd be on maybe Democracy Now, and that's it. No one would cover him. He wouldn't be able to get his name out there, which was very important against the Clinton. He probably wouldn't be able to raise much money, maybe a few bucks here and there. Now, running as a Democrat, now he's won 20 states, tied in like 4 others, raised $250 million, all over the news, national coverage. Almost everyone in this country now knows who he is. So he's made the right decision to use the Democratic Party. He used them, played them at their own game. And now he holds all the cards. Ever seen that movie, The Pope Greenwich Village? I'm the Pope Greenwich Village because I got a tape. Well, he's got the tapes, and he holds all the cards. He holds all the cards. And trust me, if the Democratic Party doesn't do not what's in our best interest, or what's in the country's best interest, and give him the nomination and get behind him, he will run as a third-party candidate. He knows he can win. Not can win, he knows he will win. Why the party isn't at least kissing his ass to prevent him from doing that, I don't get it. This is how arrogant they are. 1, they probably feel he won't do it. 2, they feel if he does, he's going to get 5% of the vote, he's not going to hurt us. First of all, he runs for independent, they're over. Hillary's done. She might as well not even campaign, she's done. But so is Trump. Because 48% of this country's independents, Bernie will get 80% of them. 90%. They hate Trump, and they hate Hillary even more. By the way, Trump's beating Hillary's amongst independents. That's how bad she is. She can't beat a loser like Trump amongst independents. Bernie will get, as he's now, half to more than half, maybe 50 to 60% of Democrats. Maybe more than that by the time November rolls around. And there are a lot of Republicans, 5%, 10% maybe, who would vote for Bernie because they can't stand Trump and they hate Hillary. He gets votes from everywhere. Everywhere. He might win the Electoral College in a mega landslide against those two. Against the most hated candidate ever to run for President, Trump, and the second most hated candidate and the most hated Democrat to ever run for President, Hillary Clinton. Against one of the most liked candidates to ever run for President, Bernie Sanders. It will be an easy win. He knows it. He's playing this whole thing out. He's giving the party a chance. He doesn't want people to say, look, you just used him and you didn't really give him a chance. Well, yeah, he's used him, but he wants to give him a chance. They got their chance. They got 2 months to decide. And it's better they do it before the convention, because otherwise it's going to be a very nasty convention. It's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen. It's unpredictable. They should do it before the convention, give him the nomination. But they got 2 months, a little over 2 months to make the final decision. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. You can come back to this tape. If he doesn't get the nomination, he's running till November. He's running. He's got the people power. He's got the 30 people come out to see him. He's making millions of dollars, $40 million a month fundraising. Trust me, he's running to November. He's running. He's running. He'll either be on the ballot November 8th as a Democrat or as an independent, third party, Green Party, whatever they decide. Doesn't matter. Whatever party, his name is what matters. The party doesn't matter. Okay, a little breakdown. Remember that number in Oregon. I want to reiterate this. Trump, nearly tied. I think almost maybe 10,000 votes behind now. Clinton. In Oregon. Scary shit. Mike Caccioppoli, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.